How's it going, YouTube? It's your boy Topsonics coming at you with a banlist update. Now, I know it's been a few hours. The banlist has been out already because it got announced at YCS Anaheim, but there are some things to talk about with it, as well as to just go over it. So I'll start with going over it, then I'll talk about some of the issues that I have with it and how it was presented and in general. So first off, we have the cards that were... Oh, that is not the right one. That is the right one. We have cards that went from... The cards that are at 3 now. So first of all, Blaster, Tidal, Redox, and Tempest all are now all at 3. So the Dragon Rulers are now completely unlimited and unrestricted at this point. Dino Wrestler Pankratops is now at 3 finally. Lunalite Tiger is at 3, as well as Rescue Ace Airlifter and Opening the Spirit Gates went from 1 to 3. Likewise, we have Thunder Dragon Colossus now at 3 and Ib the World Chalice Justicare at 3. Now, I don't really like the Thunder Dragon Colossus at 3, but unfortunately that's what we get. And the Opening the Spirit Gates and the Airlifter, we will probably see more. I'll talk more about that as we get to the other cards for that stuff. Moving on to the semi-limits, we have Cyberjar going to 2, we have Danger Jackalope and Danger Tsuchinoko going to 2, as well as Ava going to 2, and Performapal Monkey Board at 2. But all these cards very clearly could have went to 2, some of these could have went to 3. The Danger cards, I don't really like that they're coming to 2. There's a reason why I don't like it, but there's many reasons why I do like it, so we'll touch on that more in a bit. Moving on to the cards that were limited, we have Tenpai Dragon Chundra, we have Sang and Kaiman both getting limited for big Tenpai hits. Phantom of Yubel got limited, as well as Zodiac Barrage. Absolutely bait and switch with the Zodiac card, and the Phantom of Yubel getting limited is partially why we saw Opening the Spirit Gates go to 3. If you have less access to Phantom of Yubel in general, then the other cards aren't as powerful in theory, in my opinion, so that's probably why that happened. And then the cards that were banned, so you can no longer play these cards in the advanced format at all, are Gimmick Puppet Nightmare, Jowgen the Spiritualist, and Original Sinful Spoils Snake Eye. These bans are not very good. So now that we've completed the entire ban list, I will go back over the stuff, and I will talk about the things I like or dislike about stuff. So right away with the unlimited cards, I love the fact that all of the Dragon Rulers went to 3. I think that is perfectly fine. We should have had this a while ago. Not too long ago, I get that Dragon Link was a problem, but at the same time, I don't think Dragon Link would have played them for the most part, and but this is fine. I don't like that Thunder Dragon Colossus is at 3. I think that is pretty bad. I still think this card should be banned, but that is on me. That is my opinion, and you are free to disagree. Ib going to 3 is perfectly fine. Airlifter going to 3, I think, is because Sinful Spoils got hit. Because with the Sinful Spoils Snake Eyes going to 0, you are able to no longer summon Hydron off of it, so you're probably not playing the Snake Eyes package in your Rescue Ace stuff anymore, so you were probably strictly staying Rescue Ace Sinful Spoils only if you're playing Rescue Ace as a Mina, really. So if you were playing Rescue Ace as a Mina, you'll probably still play the 1-in package with the Yvel Star, but realistically at this point now, having the 3 Airlifter to make Emergency more visible in your hands, as well as making Rhoda a more valuable card, I think at the same time, that is the big thing for it. Likewise, Opening the Spirit Gates going to 3 with Phantom of Yubel going to 1, I think is okay. I like the idea of Opening the Spirit Gates going to 3 because it does open up more, it opens up more stuff for like any level 2 stuff, so like sprites. It opens up more plays with Yubel to be able to be played. So like something like Yubel Sprite could probably actually come out now with stuff now that you have the extra deck room and you're focusing more on getting the single monster negate or the change the effect rather than the entire thing. At the end of the day, I still really think that like Yubel is in a decent spot overall, but it is a very harsh hit to put Phantom to 1. That being said, I think the rest of this is all fine. We kind of knew everything like else that was happening here in the unlimited stuff. Now the stuff in the semi-limit stuff. Now I mentioned earlier that I both like and dislike the Danger stuff going to 2. The big reason why I dislike it is because I don't like the idea of the Danger cards getting abused more in Dark World. When you have stuff like Ceruli and you have stuff like Silva in Dark World where it is just hand rip galore, giving them more access to danger monsters that give them more consistency, especially with something like Jackalope or Tsuchinoko, where it gives them access to like rank 3s, they're dark, so like they can be used for lore, and they can let you play around stuff like Tikaboo a little bit more. I like the idea of them, like obviously, but at the same time, because I like the idea of them because they let you play in the rank 3s, they let you do stuff a lot with like Cherubini, and to something like Phantom Knights and things such as, so I definitely like those. Those aspects, but I am always kind of cautious of the constant draw potential stuff with Dangers, because they're a problem in general. Now, I do think Droll might come back a bit into the format, so stuff like Dark World, like mostly for something like Rise Ale or something, but like stuff like Dark World and things such as might not take off as much because of something like Duel. Possibly, but then you still have to see it rather, and like because of the Molotron use, Droll is kind of big and whatnot, so we'll see. I like Cyberjar going to 2. I think that's fine. I think Ava going to 2 is a little problematic for Drytron. I think they're trying to hint at playing Herald Drytron a little too much again, but at the same time, and that's mostly just because like there's no kaiju stuff, and when you hit Tenpai, you don't have many of like the turn brain off stuff anymore for it, so like with like summoning and whatnot, so like hitting Tenpai a lot more here is a little damning for something like for something like Drytron. Now again, Droll hits Drytron really hard. It's very possible that is what they're aiming for. They're trying to make this a Droll format. At the same time, I don't think this ban list does that very well. And then like Monkey Board is just going to 2. I think it's fine. Nobody's playing like pen stuff, so. Moving on to the limited stuff. Again, I don't really like the idea that Tenpai is getting hit so hard. Phantom Yubel getting put to 1 is really harsh but understandable. Barrage getting put to 1 again is understandable because like Zodiac isn't as good without Dryden. I think this is fine. But the huge Tenpai hit I think is a little harsh. Chundra the 1, sure, but Kaiman as well is kind of bad. I think one or the other was like the perfect hit to do. But at the end of the day, I still think Tenpai is somewhat playable. It's just a lot harder because now your tuners are limited when it comes to Chundra being at 1. So you have to be a lot more careful with how you work your tuners. Genroku becomes a lot more important. You can't just tribute it for nothing. Likewise, Chundra becomes super important with it. Like you can't just abuse it by summoning it like a bunch of times or whatever. So I get it, but it also just kind of makes some of the it makes some hits kind of weird. Like it makes it awkward because Tenpai is supposed to be probably like the cheap deck that kind of goes against the expensive decks, because like Tenpai is only really expensive if you go out and you spend the money on like the Pharaoh or like the Impulse or Dominus Impulse. But if you don't spend that money on those cards, the deck is still completely playable, or it was. Now, without those hand traps specifically, it makes the deck feel a whole lot worse and like really bad. It basically forces you to have to basically either drop a ton of money on packs, or you have to drop a ton of money buying singles. Either way, I don't like the idea because it forces you to drop a ton of money just to play the game. In my opinion, I think that's bad. And then moving on to the forbidden cards, this is also one of the points of contention that happened with the ban list. So Nightmare being banned, this was something that needed to happen like 2 years ago. Like, why now? The only reason I could see you banning Nightmare now is because you're about to give us something that can do the same thing that Albion can do, or Sanctifier Albion rather, I'll specify. So if that's the case, I don't like that at all. And then Jaugen being hit feels like it's the same thing. So either they're going to play more branded stuff or more stuff for the Albaz lore, which I am so tired of seeing, by the way. It has been 4 years. Can we stop getting Albaz cards, please? At the same time, I don't like the fact that Jaugen is now being punished for the sins of Albion. Like now spellbooks have no way to like lock out stuff or anything. Like rip spellbooks. If you wanted to play spellbooks, Jaugen was like your out to most things. It is the only way that you can kind of survive into a lot of big boards, and so rip you there. And then original Sinful Spoil with Snake Eye getting hit or getting banned, I think is really cool. At the same time, I don't think this was the thing to hit. If you wanted to hit Fire King at all, I'd say hit a Fire King card or specifically target Azamina. Personally, my thing here would have been instead of Snake Eyes or with this, I would have also banned Azamina Silva, because it was one of the lowest rarity cards in the entire Azamina set. It is the Omni Negate, which dodges Imperm and Effect Veiler. So in all regards, Silva is like the thing that should be going. I mean, like you banned Borreload and you banned Baron, like you're getting rid of Omni Negates. You banned Appaloosa, so like you banned stuff that has multiple negates. You banned stuff that is just an Omni Negate, and like the only ones that survived were like Dragoon, and now Silva is surviving. And it's like, if you want to sell the Azamina cards, well, you could do that without Silva. The Azamina cards would still sell. Deception would still be fine without it. So, in my opinion, this was just a way to try to kill the Dead Bellstar engine, but it terribly failed because you didn't hit Wanted or anything like that. So, at the end of the day, guys, I really do feel like this is just Konami being out of touch. Their R&D department really does just feel really bad. In the past, we've had sets like thinking back on stuff like Teledad format, right? That is probably the first time where we had sets that were cards being imported that were rares in the OCG being made secret rares in the TCG and becoming overly expensive and insane. and that was one of the first times that we had like a really high rarity, high value money deck that wins everything start to lose to a deck that was so low rarity with black, like, and specifically it's like Black Wings. Black Wings was such a low rarity deck that you could basically just buy like 2 booster boxes and build the whole deck. Dark Strike Fighter was a super rare, and then you had like Sirocco, Bora, and Bora that were common. Kalut was a common in Raging Battle. You had Gale, that was a rare. Armed Wing was a super rare. Like, Armor Master was your only ultra rare. There were no secret rares in the set, or there were no secret rares specifically for them. Black Whirlwind was a common. You had a lot of really powerful cards. Icarus Attack was a common. You had a lot of really powerful cards that were basically designed for Black Wings that were all super cheap and really easy to access. Meanwhile, you had your huge Teledad stuff. Like, now, mind you, Black Wings could play Dark Armed Dragon, and eventually, like they did and everything. But you didn't need that to FTK your opponent with back then. And that is essentially what Tenpai was in today's standards. It was the cheaper deck that could still stand up against a ton of stuff. And like, yeah, it made people annoyed because they spent a lot of money on their deck just to lose to a really cheap a deck full of common dragons that just kind of punches their face. At the same time, you kind of needed that to help balance out the landscape in order to get cards that were in order to get cards that would be cheaper and stuff. Back then in 2007 to 2010, like, they did that and they made things a lot cheaper over time, right? Like, it took some time, but they did it. We're kind of back in that same era where now we have a ton of cards that are overly expensive, but worse now is that we have many cards that were rares in the OCG being made secret rares here now, right? All the Moltres Army cards were both rares in the OCG secrets here, right? And that, like, there are just I will link in the description to my Why Konami Hates the TCG video, because in that video I go into much more detail about this, and I do go into a lot. I go into better detail and more organized detail about this. So at the end of the day, guys, I do think that this ban list was kind of mid. I think that this ban list wasn't awful, but this ban list definitely feels like it is not correctly timed, if that makes sense. Like, this feels like a ban list that was supposed to come right before a giant set, but instead this came after 2 big sets with giant archetypes. And that just makes the game feel really bad, in my opinion. And I don't think the players are going to like this ban list going forward. I think it looks nice. It looks okay. People looking at this either think it's really great or they think it's terrible. And I'm kind of in the middle, because I think this does a decent amount of stuff for the meta, but at the same time, the meta has already shifted towards these new archetypes. So it's already this was pointless to me. But at the end of the day, that is my opinion. If you disagree with me, feel free to go into the comments below and talk about it. If you'd like to also disagree with me on my Discord, feel free to join the Discord. As long as we keep the discussion civil in the comments or on Discord, I am perfectly okay with it. As soon as it gets insulting, like, all types of criticism go out the window, right, guys? Likewise, if you want to support the channel, feel free to use code TeddyFurry10 over at GemAccessoriesUS.com. Link will be in the description below. It'll save you 10% off your purchase of anything from Gemtech. They have tons of deck boxes. They have some sleeves. And event. I think they're starting to get playmats in. They also make cool backpacks and tons of stuff like that. Likewise, you can use code TOF over at Dueling Guard. That will save you 5% off your purchase there. They make really awesome mats. I actually have a mat review coming up from them this Friday, as well as they make TCG binders. I have a review for that already up if you want to check that out. They also make deck boxes. I have not gotten one of their deck boxes yet, but I am very eager to get one of those because I have liked all their stuff so far. Likewise, if you want to use my affiliate link down below for Imperium Duelist, that will support the channel as well. If you want to go to my TCG Player store and directly support the store by buying some cards, please feel free to do so. I absolutely love it. I send a little extra bit of stickers with every purchase because I like to include little bonuses to people who help my shop. So again, if you want to support the shop, or if you want to support the channel and my business, that is a perfect way to do so. Or you can become a channel member. That is also linked below. There's nothing too special for channel members. You get access to all the past replay links currently, and you get stats on who wins. You will also be able to see who's playing, what decks are coming up a little early. But other than that, currently there aren't too many other membership advantages. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I haven't plugged everything like that in a while, so it's a little weird and winded. But thank you guys again so much for watching. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Banlist is mid. God bless you all, and peace.